guys, how are y'all doing today?
Great.
All right. Got you guys together today to learn about how to hit a tennis forehand. I'm going to do a little demonstration and a little speech on it for you. It's actually called the modern day forehand. I'm going to explain that to you. Why is it called the modern day forehand? Well, in years of advancement in equipment, including the rackets, strings, balls, technology's advanced quite a bit. Rackets were made out of wood back in the day, then they transitioned to metal. Now they're made out of some sort of graphite composite. String technology's changed, so players nowadays are hitting the ball a lot harder and a lot faster. Some of the pros on tour can actually hit a forehand in 120 plus mile an hour range. Now you may be thinking, okay, a ball traveling 120 mile an hour, the court's only so long, how do we keep that ball in play and not going out 78 feet away from us? Well, the answer to that question is with control and spin. And we accomplish that control and spin with the modern day forehand, also called the windshield wiper forehand. I'll explain that later. Now, first I want to talk about the grip. There's a few different grips involved in hitting a forehand. If you notice, the butt of this tennis racket is an octagon shape, okay? If you can imagine, that's position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and position 8. And so this knuckle on your hand right here is going to, wherever it's placed on the racket, in one of those positions kind of determines what kind of grip you're using. The three most common grips for the forehand are the continental, the eastern grip, and what they call a semi-western grip. Okay, a continental grip is if you had a hatchet in your hand and you wanted to throw it or you wanted to chop something, the way you would hold that hatchet or axe is the same way that you would hold a tennis racket. This is what people use for years, and they get in the late 1800s to the early 1900s, in the 20s and 30s. Pretty much everybody played with this style of grip. It's a consistent shot. The racket stays pretty square, perpendicular to the ground through the whole swing. Just can't really get a whole lot of power or a whole lot of spin out of that. So later, people kind of figured out that if they closed the racket face a little bit, that they could hit the ball harder because the racket's facing downward, and put a little bit of spin on the ball and make the ball drop into play. Players then figured out, well, hey, if that works, does this? Well, sure. So the grip evolved to what the most common grip today is, which is called the semi-western grip. You can accomplish that grip by laying the racket flat on the ground or table, whatever, taking this V in your hand, putting it directly on top of the racket, and then picking the racket up. This is the most common grip used in tennis today. Well, it looks funny. If you're watching current tennis, you'll see players with a racket like this. If you watch tennis back in the day, you'll notice that everybody always held the racket like this. But it pretty much went from here almost a full 90 degrees to this position. And you may think, oh, how did somebody hit a ball like that? I'm going to show you here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to talk about the swing. There's two things involved in the swing, and that's forward momentum and rotation. So first thing you should do is set up properly to the ball. You want to impact the ball. I've got this little thing here today. It's called the Topspin Pro. It's a device that people use for practice to practice hitting their forehand shot. And again, how do you hit you hit ball like that, right? How does that work? That's not how you do it. We're talking about the modern day forehand. So you get positioned to the ball. You want to make contact with the ball actually in front of you, about a hand's width, hand's length. So if you put your hand out about right here, this is about where you want to make contact with the ball. Okay? So you get in position with the ball, you turn towards it, you shift your weight down, bend your knees. You're actually rotating your weight from your right foot to your left foot. Okay? So you rotate back, drop the racket, and the next thing you do is you start rotating this hip. I'm going to call it firing. You start firing that left hip. You'll notice what happens to the racket. It kind of naturally just kind of falls back a little bit when you do that motion. Okay? And that's how these pros get a lot of their speed, because it's like kind of like a whipping action. When you fire that hip, it creates a whipping motion to get a lot of acceleration through the shot. So again, you get in position, rotate, drop the racket behind you, you fire the hips, use your left hand to kind of balance, kind of go this motion, use it for balancing. You can also use it to kind of track the ball a little bit. You fire the hips, you rotate through, you make impact, and then the windshield wiper motion is this motion right here. Call it the windshield wiper motion because it's just like on a car. Car windshield wiper does this right here. So essentially, at impact, you want to impact the ball and then make that windshield wiper motion. That's how you get massive amount of spin on the ball. So what does the spin do? The more spin, the more revolutions per minute. Spinning this way creates an air pocket on top of the ball that pushes the ball down. Opposite, if you have backspin, creates an air pocket under the ball and makes the ball kind of float upwards. Spinning this way pushes it that way, spinning this way pushes it that way. So the more revolutions that you can put on the ball, the harder you can hit it. Because all of that revolution and all that airflow is going to push that ball down into the court. So if you'll watch this ball, you'll see that it's going to have quite a bit of spin on it. So in the positioning step, you see the rotation of the ball. So you're actually hitting up on the ball. So the ball is actually traveling off the racket in the upper direction at a high rate of speed. If you don't have that spin, it's going to go out. Okay? So the modern day forehand is the difference between just swinging and hitting a ball over to the other side and being really able to bring it back and hit it as hard as you want. You can literally hit this ball as hard as you want to. As long as you get enough topspin on it, the ball will drop in on the side of the court where you want it to. So again, in conclusion, we learned about what a forehand is, the grip positions 1 through 8 on the butt of the racket, and the windshield wiper and body motion that it takes to create the topspin. In conclusion, hopefully you become intrigued with the tennis forehand to the point that you're going to want to go out and try it today. Now you're not going to go out there and hit balls 120 miles an hour like the pros are. It takes years of practice. But with just a little bit of practice, you can hit this shot and maybe even look like you know what you're doing out there. Thanks for joining me today, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about tennis.